Hi. I've always quite enjoyed coming up with slogans and phrases to support our mission programs and initiatives, designing logos, that kind of thing. So in this situation where we're being forced to think differently about how we do and how we are church, perhaps it's not surprising that I came up with a phrase that perhaps we'll all get bored with over the next few months together. Rethink church. Rethink church. What does it mean to reimagine church for the new normal? Last week we seemed to spend an awful lot of time, my team, in planning meetings, in strategy meetings, in organising schemes and programmes. It was one of those weeks where you went into a meeting and you worked hard and you got some good ideas, and only to come out from the meeting and find that the goalposts had moved, the world had changed and the regulations were different and you had to start all over again. It was one of the longest weeks of my ministry, because it was constantly just trying to stay ahead of the curve. Lots of ideas, lots of opportunities, lots of work, lots of need. And as the small group broke up, and it was a small group, socially distanced in the way that we were supposed to do, but as the group broke up at the end of the meeting, the sound of my name being called walked me back into the moment. And Mark, what about you? How are you doing? And it was only my stubborn, control freak personality that stopped me from bursting into tears. I was so surprised. You see, I hadn't realised how tired I was. And I hadn't realised how stressed I was. And I hadn't realised that I'd felt anything at all. In fact, I'm not sure I had felt anything at all, that we'd been too busy to feel. Too busy at home, too busy at work, too busy at church. Too busy trying to keep on top of all the news and all the things that were changing. I hadn't actually felt anything at all. And that road leads to brokenness and to breakdown. And in these days and in this situation, serious consequences. Okay, my pastor continued. So what do we need to do? Why do you need to be here now? And what about food? What have you had to eat today? You can't do this on caffeine alone, you know. Note the sign on the shed wall behind me. Shortly afterwards I came home and I had a coaching call with someone in the United States. And we seem to get on okay. Beth doesn't really know me, but she isn't part of the system. And we were talking about church growth, and we were talking about mission, and we were talking about programs, and we were talking about opportunities, and we spoke a little about the maelstrom of experiences and emotions and demands that it feels like we're all carrying at the moment. But actually, do you know, we just talked, and it did me good. Then I had something to eat, and somehow, for just a few moments, there was a confident peace in the middle of the madness. So I want to say thank you to those two people. They know who they are. I promised I'd be honest in this series, so I'm trying to be honest. And thank you too to the others who have sent messages and offered virtual hugs. You know, this is a tough thing for all of us. And for those of us that are ministers, we've not done this before. You know, this is a new experience for us all. And we mess up. And we get it wrong. And sometimes we make bad judgments. So we appreciate it when people say thank you, when people notice. Always notice the people who notice, and never take them for granted. Paul wrote a really short letter to a bloke called Philemon. To be honest, we don't really know very much about him at all, but we do know what Paul thought of him. This is what he wrote. He said, "Your love has given me great joy and encouragement, because you have refreshed the hearts of the saints." Your love has given me great joy and encouragement, because you have refreshed the hearts of the saints. It's one of my favourite verses in the whole of the Bible. The refresher of God's people. Friends, always notice the people that notice, and say thank you. And then in our turn, maybe we too can notice the people and become a refresher of God's people. God bless.